All right, so I just got done seeing Disclosure Day, and I know some people are disliking it, like I said earlier, and I gotta wonder why. I have a few feelings that I might know a couple of reasons why, but I don't know, like they're pretty much positives for me because pretty much everything in this movie I consider to be a positive. Um, One thing I was curious about while I was watching this was my expectations of what it was going to be. Was it because like most anything, I don't watch the trailers that much, and in this case, I I really didn't need to watch the trailers hardly at all because it was interesting enough for me just to be able to know that I was going to check it out. So I didn't know if this was going to be more action heavy or more in your head type of thinking sci-fi type of film, or what. And it turns out it's kind of a combination of a lot of the Steve, Steven Spielberg sci-fi type of movies like this. Um, Obviously you got the War of the Worlds, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Those being very big influences. I mean, there's stuff. I mean, a lot of these, a lot of Steven Spielberg movies can feel similar when it comes to the way that they're shot, or camera movements, the lighting, things like that. A lot of the story is like it's told in such a way that it's not trying to be big. I mean, it's telling a big story, but it's not trying to be encompassing of a whole bunch of things that are going on, and it reveals the way that it chooses to tell the story by the way that it really holds back on the dialogue. It's more of a movie about how I think individual people can think about the movie and reflect upon it. Um, I think especially if you're into like aliens and whatnot, it really does a good job of not releasing that much information about the characters until a little bit by the very end. But I like how it holds off on that and really lets you, the viewer, think about what's going on and kind of place yourself easily in the shoes of the characters. I think in a really interesting way. The dialogue was really restrictive, and I like that because it doesn't always work. Sometimes movies try to have too smart of dialogue, and then they just kind of they forget what they need to do is they need to have questions answered. And this one, there's a lot of questions brought up because a lot of the dialogue is like, instead of saying, hey, just to let you know there's aliens out there, there's drawn out dialogue and there's different ways that they skirt around saying actual terms. And it's really interesting how it weaves the story, and with lack of story behind the characters, the plot reveals itself as it goes along, but the way that it does it is really engaging, and the way things happen, it's very much it very much keeps your attention throughout in a spectacular way because I'm thinking maybe some people might feel like it's not that deep enough of a story or something like that. I don't know, but one thing I was thinking about was there was a lot of good comedy early on, and it was just very natural with what was going on. And then slowly the movie got a little bit more darker as it went, and there were still moments of nothing got super serious, but there's a couple of moments here and there to where you're like, I can understand the intentions and why things might lead to where they could be going here, but it's never like you never feel that there's a true villain in the movie, even though there is an archetype of a villain whose humanity slowly comes in, just like the archetype of just regular people. and how their story unfolds and becomes and shows you who they are. I thought this was a really good movie. I don't know where I would place it. It's easily in the top 10 of the year right now because this, for me, has been kind of a weak year. I'm sure it will stay there. I'm not sure how strong it will be when it comes to the end of the year as far as like what type of movie I see this as. I don't know if it's necessarily like an Oscar-winning type of movie, and it doesn't necessarily want to be, but it's still very good otherwise. I think it's better for what it is better than what it could have tried to be. The story, basically, what is being told needs to be this movie. It needs to be a movie that has some laughs throughout it, especially early on, and those laughs do come back a little bit later, right when you need some tension to be relieved, right before the big final, the big climax happens. It does get a little lighthearted again, but yeah, I could ramble on, but I'd rather just think about this some more, see what other people think, and have good discussions about this. If you've seen this, let me know about what you thought about it, and if you didn't like it, particularly, why? Was it something about the storytelling, the way it was told? I'm really interested in why people didn't like this, because overall, I think the movie's good enough to generally please most people, especially if you've had some problems with it. There's a lot of good stuff going on, so we shall see. And until the next one, I'll catch you then.